over to you, Yury, for your final case study.
Okay. Hi, hello. My name is Yury, and this is my case study with Prod MBA. It's the problem. I picked up a quite vague problem of people struggling to coming back to the office. Those people who used to come to the office and during pandemic was doing the home office, and now they were struggling to come back to the office. So the actual problem statement says like we believe that office workers are currently frustrated by coming back to office after pandemic, and I started investigation and research what's going on behind this, and the actually problem market feeds like happened around why is that so complicated to decide to come back to the office tomorrow, so they rather decide not to come to the office. Did 8 interviews, and people expressed different things. They didn't like commute, they didn't like the preparation part, they didn't like the conditions, they didn't like the office, they liked their home space more. There are like a broad things and broad reasons behind this problem, right? What have I done? I just did the automated LinkedIn campaign with Galaxy and inviting people into okay, this is the problem, and then let's talk about this. And then that's the people around and my friends, they didn't do a good suggestions to me myself, to be honest. I mean, I didn't get any good matches between them. There were not such nice ideas or something, but the people who come from the internet, from the ex-colleagues and something like that, they really gave like good insights. So after the 8 interviews, I combined all their frustrations into one thing. That was a long list of them, and I picked up those ones that they shared between people, and I had at least like an idea. Okay, I can help people in such things. There were like 2 more or less matching things that were like 3 matching things that I pick up 2. The first one, they were struggling with weather conditions. They say, yeah, I mean, in home office, I'm comfortable. I don't need like take my bicycle, and that's like out of sudden the weather changes, or the rain starts tomorrow, windy, etc., etc. And the other one is like they need to prepare for the visit tomorrow. They used to sit in their home clothes. They forgot how to groom themselves, brush their teeth before going and starting to stand up in the morning. And out of a sudden, they have to change their habits again. They were struggling to prepare. I flipped that into opportunities. Let's say quickly predicting weather conditions and effortlessly prepare the home office in few minutes. So with the next thing, I tried to do the outreach campaign. I did it in few steps. I did the iterations. The first thing, I tried to combine the NVO myself, try to test like would that be understandable? Will people pick that up? And that was like we help commuters to feel confident in tomorrow by forecasting their outfit in a blink. With Galaxy, I sent 142 messages, got 42 visitors, 11 sign-ups, 3 survey fields. So the conversion rates are on the screen, and they are higher than were in the requirements, just of a little bit. It's just literally like on the bare minimum of the conversion rates. And I was not super happy about the conversion rates. On the same time, I got feedback from a community, from other students on the same cohort, that the English language that I speak is little bits off. So people who are native English, there's something wrong with it. So Fia helped me with iterating on some wordings, and there were nothing changed but wordings in the sentence on the MVO. So it became, we help office workers commute with confidence by forecasting their perfect outfits for any weather. And I restarted the campaign. I reached out 200 more people, and 200 was like a cut. After that, LinkedIn blocked my account, and I had to intervene to unblock it. I stopped everything. I gave my promises to LinkedIn. I do not do it again. And happily, it's made up me 43 visitors, which is lower than the conversion rate. So more messages sent to lower visitors, but way more signups, way more survey filled. Conversion rate goes up. So with just wording change, so it seems like the communication of the offer also play a big role in this. Started piling up the strategy and made the blue ocean. I compared the things. Yeah, of course you can't do like look outside of the window when you decide to what you have to pick up. But basically, if we talk about technology, people usually use weather apps. So I compared to all weather apps, and they're nearly the same. Some of them are better in UX, some of them worse than the UX, but that's the main difference between them. They show the absolutely the same information, but just differently. And so I thought, okay, I can focus on not how the information about the weather conditions could be displayed, but actually do some personalization, because that was the lack in this competition. So at that point, I started up looking into, okay, so there could be an application, yeah, potentially. And so combined product visions that we help authors to commute with the confidence basically was confirmed with the conversion rates and with the on bare minimum. So therefore, I started testing and validating that there is a value in the things that we're trying to do, right? So, and checking of the campaign that I did, that's the second campaign indicated that 37% landing page visitors joined our beta waiting list, and yeah, I have made the link canvas with the help of community and also the strategic roadmap, and was super helpful, and outlined the customer journey map. In case of the link canvas, it was quite easy exercise to me. I did not have any particular problem with that. Maybe the revenue streams were quite complicated. I never thought about the revenue stream in this project. I thought I can do it a pet project. I can do it for free. Can get it for free to do and just bring a little bit easiness in this world. But yeah, the revenue streams and ad and upselling, it could be working. And later on, I'll touch this. People actually liked the way I plan to do this. The cost structure is pretty straightforward, and how is that supposed to be done? Started getting more or less in shape. The only change there was really the office workers converted into anyone, because anyone needs clothing, anyone do commute, anyone gets outside, so it gets it into from office workers to anyone. And it's from one side it's good, but then it will become also a little problem. I will talk about this later. And in the strategic roadmap, it was pretty straightforward. So I do some basic things, and then I focus on the ad program to generate revenue. So it was like a quite straightforward thing to me. And in the customer journey map, I struggled a little bit, like what is the customer journey map after the actual adoption happened, right? So person adopted, and then they use it quite regularly, but there is a few steps between adoption, right? And they were not added there, and I also struggled a little bit. So I also took my lessons learned. There, yes, the adoption happened, but the real use is the wardrobe on a decent amount of items have been added is really working. This is how the application is working. But how you get this items into the wardrobe, there was a little bit a gap in the outlined customer journey. So I took my lessons learned. I need to fill this gap. See, with the customer journey, I started building up wireframes, started looking into the database architecture and how the things could be presented more or less on the screen of a smartphone. It actually went pretty well. The base concept is still there, and it's kind of the base principles are still there. Yeah, so there are lots of details changed, and also the UX is the big part of this project. It seems like people really require something that is super effortless, and in terms of adoption and in terms of start usage, it's not just like checking every day or something. So and as the next objective, the validate the core value of the product is based on the weather condition. The customer value is highly, and this is another thing of a problem with the application. But I got 7 beta testers updated boarded this week, and I have built a glide prototype, which I have tested with one tester, and figured out that the entire feedback that I got, I cannot address like at all with Glide, with during this limitations that Glide has, and the UX problems that also introduced along with it's just a base app, yeah, but that could not be base. It should be super simple. I jumped into Figma to build Figma prototype and test it with the other 6 beta testers with, and the first Glide prototype looks something like this, and has like a base information about what is the day today, what is the weather, like base weather today, and what are the matching items you can figure out on the screen, the library of your clothes or your wardrobe items, and then the possibility to add an item. There was absolutely zero idea how to add an advertisement and upselling part into this prototype, and also the forecasting part was like lowered below the bar. People did not get like, okay, it's like 29 degrees, so what does it mean? I mean, like, it's like cloudy 29 degrees, so okay, sunny 29 degrees, but so they needed some additional details, like, and it's like today, but what about tomorrow? And yeah, so anyway, I switched to Figma prototype. It's on the right, and it looks way better. I do not plan major changes to the cards of the weather. It works pretty good. People indicate that it's all that they need. That maybe they don't understand. It's like by the end of the day, is it rainy or not? So there should be like a certain level of trust. I would try to iterate on that as well. And then these reels of the categories, that works also pretty well. People like it. Some people try to click to pick up these things, and yeah, that's the part of that indicates in the PMF engine that I would need to work on. People more interested to capsulization of their wardrobe, and they check, okay, so if I pick up one item, I would like to check which capsule it belongs to, so I can pick up other items, and it doesn't matter if I pick up this category or that, so I can start with it, but then it depends on the mood. So some people can, some people can't. And also the inspirations part. So people seem to love inspirations. They like beautiful pictures that more or less matching to the clothing that belongs to such weather conditions. And as well, they can look up into these items and then can purchase the items. Yeah. And so the PMF engine basically shown that there's 0 people that would be very disappointed if I would not proceed with this application. So I could not say that I have validated at this certain stage that people will choose to buy the product. There is like many people would be somewhat disappointed, but would they really choose? I have no idea. So I would say I would require more iterations to come up with better UX, and UX seems to be one of the most important parts in such application. Yeah. So yeah, you can see then those things to improve it. People would like to have capsule. They like the inspiration. They say it's like that's like look like Pinterest, so they like that. And there's some connection to Pinterest UI is definitely there. They would like to explore the ideas of how can they get dressed under specific weather conditions, not just like to pick up something from their wardrobe, which is really interesting. So for the roadmap and the results of the PMF, it seems like people would like to pick something for today, and from what they have, or like a generic suggestions that we build like the first things, and then they would like to compare how items matches to another in the wardrobe, so they can like, is this hat match to my skirt or something like that, and they would like to get inspired how to get dressed, so the inspirations part. It's seems to be quite important for that. And then they would like to have like the capsulization. That's like make a
Good way for
capsule.
sorry to interrupt. Great prompt for revenue as well. You've still got time, by the way. Just on the inspiration, great prompt for revenue ideas, right? You know, you could feed in advert from Zara, like if they're looking for a dress or a raincoat at the time, for example.
All right, thank you. I still have a few slides to finish. Can I?
Yeah. Sorry, I was interrupting. You got time.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So here, after all this tester and the PM and the product market fit iterations, I figured out the capsulization of its looks could be the thing itself, and there could be an entire feature. And there's like the way you work with and the way you use your wardrobes could be absolutely different. So it could be an entire an open branch of the product, so the capsulization of the parts also can be a match to an additional stream of revenue in there. So I put it there, but the rest things that I change it compared to the previous like strategic roadmap, I swap places between ad program and ability to add clothing yourself, because the adding clothing itself is an effort, and this like ad program and this inspiration seem to be loved by people, and that's probably also can bring money to the project on the early stage. So I reprioritize those things. And yeah, the key learning for these things is data is definitely more valuable than opinions. And when you look into your answers, the qualitative research is on the quantitative perspective that looks very different to what you have thought when you just talk to people. Some people are more vocal, some people less vocal, and to hear everyone data helps a lot. And yeah, you try to bring value, not to bring features into products, like the way you decide the things. It's pretty clear. That's the basic product management things. And avoiding all code at all costs, I have explored how much work it could be done by the product manager before actually even talk to a developer. And that is it's a good learning for me in this case. And one of the other main, but rather things that I have to do way more iterations on the outfit forecast compared to what I have done, because that's like it needs to be really shaped. It needs to get to a certain UX level until people start picking it up. So yeah, that was me. Thanks a lot. My name is Yury, and that was nice to present you my case study.
Awesome. Really interesting. Cool to see the results as well with it. Good. I'll go through quickly feedback on the presentation, and then we'll slow down and talk about some general things to focus on, I think, for your moving forward with your career generally. Okay, so if you want to just skip through the slides as I talk about them. So if you go back to objective 1 for me. Perfect. Good. This was really clear. You gave some good examples of the qualitative data. This is really important for storytelling. You know, some people were saying they didn't like The Office, other people said this, etc. It's really powerful for storytelling, so really nice. If you go to the next slide, really good visualization of the discovery highlights. Right? Simple thing, just taking those quick screenshots, but really powerful because you're focusing the person listening. You imagine you did it to a big team on the key points. So good work there as well. And it was interesting to hear, talking about why now. So why is this problem something to talk about now? Because of the behavior generated by work from home, for example. Really good insight, something I hadn't thought about actually. If you go to objective 2, I think one thing to improve upon is just connecting your points a bit better. I think you're trying to rush through a little bit. Obviously, we have time constraints, so usually you probably take more time. But if you so it came to this slide, and then you said, well, then we did an outreach campaign, and then we did an MVO, and I'm like, okay, well, what if I didn't know this framework? I'd be like, okay, well, like, why were you doing that? What was the point? What was the objective here? So start high level, and then go into the details. So that was a bit it would have been confusing, I think, for a random person. You did mention MVO. You talked about what it is in simple terms, but again, always be clear. So, next step was to validate our offer with something called the MVO, minimal viable offer, simply putting a statement of value on a website and trying to get people to go to that website, for example. If you go to Blue Ocean, same thing here. It felt a little bit rushed. You gave one example, which was great, but it wasn't clear to me, okay, well, why are you showing me this and what's the value of the Blue Ocean? That would have been great, because then actually did really well. You went, so here's where it was busy, here's what other people are doing, and here's where we decided to focus. So and that's it. That's why we use the Blue Ocean, right? It's a visualization of our strategy, right? Where we're deciding to spend our time.
Okay, so focusing on this part, yeah. Okay,
and also using the mouse as you're doing there, just being like, well, the blue bit actually where we're so just showing where so point being is, you want to come to this page and say, so once we validated the offer, we want to check that we were differentiating our product, and we use the Blue Ocean canvas. If you look on the left, you see it was really crowded when we looked at like just doing the weather, for example. So we found some we decided to focus over here on the right, where it's empty space, on things like whatever it was, clothing, etc., etc. So as a listener, I'm like, okay, I understand what a Blue Ocean is and why you're showing it to me, essentially. Vision, you rush it. I think such a different in this context, but if you're presenting an opportunity to your company, the vision is, you need to inspire, you need to be really clear and concrete. So it's the kind of time you'd slow down, state it really clearly, and just reinforce that, because this is what the flag that we rally everyone around, essentially, as a leader. Good. If you go to customer journey map, let's just skip ahead a few.
Look, on this slide, I mean, I felt like I'm repeating myself here. That's why I rushed it through.
But it's a really important point.
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Yeah. No, you're right. The context here is different, right? I'm just general feedback for how we present this stuff internally. Sure. So, yeah, this was great. This was a really good example where the flow was very clear. It was clear to me why you said, we started mapping out the journey and then started with some wireframes and getting the architecture down, for example. So I was clear, okay, I understand what the flow is. If you go to the next slide, just starting to move towards prototype, sorry, the one after, in fact. One thing, I'll talk about this in general feedback, really good insight. You said the user experience is, I realize the user experience is so important, keeping it really simple. And you talked about why you switched from Glide to Figma again. Awesome. Made complete sense to me and was very clear why you're talking about these things. If you go to the PMF prototype, yeah, again, really good example and storytelling. So good explanation and storytelling. You're talking through the flow, the learnings you had. You gave some examples, which was great. Very clear flow to that as well. So I thought that was a very strong. So objective 2 is just a bit rushed, and I was like, okay, well, I wouldn't understand the point here. Objective 1, 3, and 4 was great. Clear, logical flow. You gave some really nice examples to add color to that story, which is great. Good. And then just zooming out, Yury, I think, I was thinking about, in your case, what do I think in terms of suggestions moving forward? So I think one thing I thought was a massive strength of yours is your focus and firm beliefs. What do I mean by that? For example, you had this very clear insight at the beginning around this idea. I didn't get this at the beginning. I don't really understand this idea. But you had a very strong belief in that, but not blinded by it. Had that really clear insight. Similar with the solutions, strong beliefs around user experience has to be simple. No, Glide isn't the right tool. Figma is the right tool. That is the absolute, such a fundamental part of leadership. It's not about leading by consensus. Like, sure, yeah, we want to listen to people, but you need to lead, right? You're the one that's painting. This is the vision. Everyone, I want you to get behind that. So you've got that really foundational skill, which not many people have actually. So I think it's really cool, very powerful, hopefully for you to just see why, that focus on vision and strategy, why it's important as well. So you start getting some really good results from it because you were really focused. That's something you take into your day-to-day work that will really do you well as a leader. I think second thing, I just shit going on with the world with the Russian-Ukraine thing, and you still turned up to every session. You've been involved in every session. You've been giving feedback to other people. I think that as well just shows great foundations, right? Commitment, focus again, which are, really foundational things that are not talked about enough, but like, you're never going to succeed without commitment and focus. So that was great to see as well. And I think final thing is just, I think just more confidence, really. I don't know if that comes from not being a native English speaker or just generally, but I think be confident in your work environment or any environment, just stepping up. You've got the right mindset. You've shown really good leadership principles from the 8 weeks. So I think it's just keep pushing and put your hand up, like in your company or new roles if they come up. So don't sort of limit yourself, I think would be my main advice, really moving forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks a lot. I really like to hear this.
Yeah,
Really
so it's
appreciate
just
it. Yeah.
you've got honestly, you've got all the foundational skills, and as I said, that firm belief. So many people don't have that. You can't lead without it, because you got so much stuff of like pushing back against stakeholders. Like, again, yeah, we need to navigate that, and we need to work with people, but also we need to say, no, this is the right direction at times as well. So I think it's a really powerful foundation you've got. Good. Let's wrap up there, and I will see you in an hour for the graduation call.
Yeah.
Awesome.
See you.
Great
See you
great
there.
case study as well.
Thanks a lot.
I'll see you then, Yury.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. Bye-bye.